And welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host Tina. How are you doing, Tina?
I'm good, Rob. How are you?
I'm okay. I can actually see you. It's quite different.
And it's early in the morning. I'm still in pajamas.
You're lucky. I'm not so lucky. I had to drive to see you, so I couldn't. I guess I could have worn my pajamas.
You could have worn your pajamas.
I probably could have, and no one would have said anything. This is our first real live show, where we're actually in front of each other, which is quite bizarre.
Yeah, and I don't have a computer screen in front of me. It feels kind of weird.
Doesn't it feel weird?
It does feel weird.
It's weird not to look into a camera and have to see each other. It's very bizarre.
It's true.
So today we're going to talk to someone that we were supposed to talk to last week, which is even funnier that now that we're going to do it. We're going to talk dads who don't see their children due to, I hate to shit on moms, but moms. Yeah.
There it is.
But I'm going to take a big festering shit. Look, it's obviously a problem in the States, as far as I know, with even friends that I've known, that I hate to say hostage, but they do kind of keep them hostage. Either don't let them see them at all, or so selectively that it feels like they're not seeing them at all. So I will let you introduce our guest.
This is Carlos, and Carlos, welcome, actually. He is here to talk about his story with not being able to see his daughter, although he has court order and everything else that he needs to do so. So how you doing?
Hi, Carlos.
I'm doing great. And I just want to say thank you for letting me come on here, especially listening to episode 16 of your guys' podcast, The Fatherless
Homes.
The Fatherless Homes. Mm-hmm. I didn't come personally from a fatherless home, but I had both parents, but they're always working. So that can be considered like a fatherless home too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some
gray areas.
Look, latchkey kids that are raised by working parents are definitely have some damage. But I would definitely say for sure when there's no dad in the house. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at the statistics, alone, they're absurd how bad your kid can turn out and where they end up. Prison, suicide, drug addict. I mean, there's multiple things that you can see from that. So I think it's a bad thing to keep parents away. Absolutely.
I mean, even a bad parent is better than no parent at all.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to have something. You have to have some kind of balance between, getting manly advice and motherly advice. We are different, and
mm-hmm.
it's a fact without a doubt. How your child ends up hearing different advice is always going to be filtered in through dads who might be a little more harsh and moms that might be a little more softer, or vice versa. Because I know moms that are brutal. I mean, really, really brutal. So I just think that it's an important thing to keep both parents, because statistically, we've already shown that not having a parent or a dad in the house is horrible. But to keep them as a pawn and do it purposely, it's a whole nother level of shitty parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell us a little about your story and where you're kind of at with why you don't get to see your kid?
Well, I've been going through a 2-year court battle, almost 3 years now. Started when I came home from a vacation I didn't want to take. People know what that means. Those unwanted vacations sometimes.
Sure.
Bottom line was that I've been in my child's life since she was born. Her mother, I raised her 2 kids. Their dad was there, but wasn't there. I've always provided for her 2 kids, took them in as my own. My family did the same. And then when I came back from my vacation, I saw the difference. I just started questioning things that, when you're in a relationship with somebody for a long time, the patterns. And then when patterns start to change, you're like, wait, hold on. This doesn't seem right. So when I started bringing things to light, that's when, you're this, you're that. And I was like, all right, I know what things are. I know what it is. And, I told my ex, I go, just, if that's the case, let it be, but she wanted her cake and eat it too, and so when I started filing paperwork and started giving her money orders for child support, even though I'm not on child support, and to this day I'm not on child support, she refuses any kind of help from me, but a lot of it I am to blame. I own up to my part because I kind of checked out of the relationship early on, because when you're a one income family and it becomes hard and you don't see the other parent trying to drive or do anything to better themselves, you're just like, all right, what am I doing this for?
Mm-hmm.
But I already had a child with her, and, I'm not going to abandon my daughter. I did it with my son, and his mom didn't deserve because when I first had my son, I was 20. I just turned 20, just had my son. And I got into my addiction heavy because I started working for the studios. And when you give a 20-year-old kid $1,000 a week plus, he thinks he's John Gotti.
Sure.
For real, he thinks he's Gotti. You can't tell him what to do. And my addiction, got worse and stuff like that. But that's here and there. So I try to stick around now because, I didn't want to have that same effect that I did on my son. And like I said, I've always been present in my kid's life, my son's life, always been there. I just had bad problems, but I've always attend to my problems, and this time around, like I said, mom, she was just different. So when I started filing paperwork, she withdrew my daughter from us, from my family, especially my father, who loves my daughter. He would go pick her up from when she was in daycare. He'll go just drop her off chicken nuggets for lunch, when she's about to get out of school, or he'll go pick her up every Tuesday and take her out to lunch, stuff like that. And then that became absent. She withdrew from, like I said, basically all my family and hid my daughter from her. And every time we went to court, it was something else came up. It was postponed or whatever, whatnot. So yeah, there's more to it, but we could get into that you guys thought.
I mean, there's always going to be something. Look, I went through a divorce. Thankfully, mine wasn't as much turmoil. We let my son decide who he wanted to go with, and he's been with me the whole time. But I kept pushing mom into, I made my son go see mom. Because I didn't want that to be a sticking point later in life. Like, oh, you didn't do this, or you didn't get to see her, blah, blah, blah. You have to let your kids make up their decision on their own of who their parent is, which is why you have to give them options to see them and continue to see them. In your case, I think it's a little different, though. You're having someone who's purposely pushing out, pushing away or taking away the child. The court thing's kind of a different thing. So have you been back to court since? Oh yeah. We've been to court 3 times, 4 times really. I have actually the list of here how many times we've gone to court. Mm-hmm. I filed parental concealment against her, which is under Penal Code 278.5. Yeah, I learned penal codes quick in here because, for men that are listening right now, I really encourage you to do your homework. Google stuff. Everything's on the internet now. You can look up penal codes. Just ask Google or Siri, whatever it is, whatever you're looking for, and it'll bring it up. So start learning your penal codes. Start doing the paperwork. And sometimes men, in general, we get lazy, or we get the case of the fuck it's. Like, I don't want to deal with this. I'll deal with it later or whatnot. And then later becomes a year, later becomes 2 years, and now your kid doesn't even want to see you. So for people that are listening out there, men in particular, do your homework. It sucks.
I've been going through it for 3 years almost. But you know what? If you really love your kids, you're going to keep on fighting.
Correct. I totally agree.
How long has it been since you've seen her?
Since July. Last saw her on her birthday. July 17th was her birthday, and I saw her for her birthday. And oh man, I got her. She's a big unicorn freak, and I got her everything unicorn. It was from pillows to a giant sized gummy bear unicorn to headphones to you name it. She got a blanket, you know, and you know, it sucks that because I have to go through monitor visits because she wanted it. And initially in 2020 was when we started this, and we started going through a monitor. I had a monitor that was actually been on my side, you know, and to help me. And she started seeing how mom was. I actually have like the paperwork right here from her and what the monitor was saying and dates and everything. And it's crazy that the mom was actually telling the monitor, if you keep on calling me, I'm going to file a case against you for harassment. And this is a court order that I have with the monitor. The monitor went with me to the police station, wrote a report, and that's all the police say, oh, well, we just got to document it. You got to go back to court. It's like, well, okay. So when I start filing paperwork, now it becomes a different issue. I'm harassing her. I'm doing this. I'm doing that because she does have a protective order. And I don't care about that. Like, that's for her and her 2 kids, but not for my daughter. So every time I file something against her, it's like, okay, how come this ain't being addressed, but yet you guys want to come and harass me for a hearsay? So, yeah.
Because she has the protective order.
Because she has a protective order. So what I did was go file my own protective order, because there's a lot more in between that, because during that time when I would start filing my grievances and stuff like that, people were harassing my grandmother's house where I was staying at. They were tagging on her garage, leaving absurd phone calls and stuff like that. And when I tell the cops, I even actually got a video of her stalking me at my grandmother's house. And when I bring that up to the police, it's, well, she has the protective order. So the minute I go outside and say anything or go by her car, like, what the hell are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here. It's like, oh, I'm harassing her because she has the protective order.
That doesn't seem right, though. If she's going to your house and doing that should look odd. You know what I mean? That should look like it. Something's a problem here. It's the protective order is not in the right hands.
Yep. So that's where I'm at. It's because the protective order protects her and she's able to do whatever she wants to do. But because I didn't have one, that was the whole case. But now that I have one, there hasn't been that issue. She hasn't came by the house. She hasn't done, no one's tagged on the garage or anything like that. And it's just funny though, because it's when it was one-sided at first. Now that I have mine, it's like, okay. And top it off, when I went to the station, which is in Devonshire Division, and I made my report, they're all like, well, what are you doing that she's doing this? I'm like, wait, hold on. I'm the one making the report here. You know what I mean? Like, and so I have a lot of people that help me and bless me. I'm truly blessed. I can't say who said it, but they gave me legal advice, and they'll ask for a D3. A D3 is the main detective that runs the whole cha-cha, the whole get down. And so when I asked, I go, you know what? I need to speak to a D3. And they're like, what? Like, they were surprised I knew what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I first filed my parental concealment, they're all like, well, why isn't she letting you see your kid? I'm all like, wait, hold on. I'm the one here making the report. I have my court order. Well, why is she letting you see your kid? I'm all that. And then so I had someone tell me, just, hey, tell me you want their ID badge, not their number, their thing you want to speak. You want their identification number, which is their login. And now they're like, oh, hold on. This guy knows what he's talking about. So he's all, hold on, got back on the phone. He's all, you know what? Sorry, sir. I misunderstood you, and it became a different story.
Mm.
So when you start knowing what you're talking about and penal codes and just, you know, the things that the language is, I guess that's the best way of saying the language, people start listening to you. But when you go in there as Joe Blow and, oh, well, I need this, and start don't understand what you're saying or talking to them about, they're going to shine you off.
Especially on domestic stuff.
Yeah,
They don't want to get involved in that because they don't win ever.
They don't. And, like, it sucks because the ones that are getting hurt are the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line, it's the kids that's getting hurt. Kid loves both parents, but they're always going to side with the parent that they live with.
It has them. Yeah.
Yeah. And because there's times where my daughter shows her old side where she's just loving and she's hitting me and playing, like, just rough playing with me. And then she'll withdraw from, like, when there's incidents with the mom, or I'll make a report the following week when I have my visitation, whatever, my daughter will withdraw from me. And, that kind of sucks, but I do take accountability for everything that has happened, because during that time, like when I was with her mom, like I said, I wasn't the perfect boyfriend. I checked out the infidelity and everything and stuff like that. So I created that monster, and that's the thing. You got to take accountability first. You can't just blame, oh, it's this parent or it's that parent. And, you got to look at yourself and see, okay, what part did I do that this person's acting like that? So to judge me from my past is like, okay, that's not who I am no more. I became a better person. I bettered myself in many different ways. Got connected to my spirituality, my higher power, who I call God, and that makes a big difference too, because sometimes we try to fill that void with destruction, with toxic things,
Especially when you're raising a kid like that, when you're going through all that and you're using and you're cheating and you're going to different places, that's not helping the situation with your child.
It's not.
So that's the hard part. And that's what your foundation is at. So It makes sense that she would be hateful and want you to not see your kid. But there's no justification for that either, because who's losing is your child.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I got a text because I still talk to people that live in our apartments where she lives at still. And they're like, hey, there's two incidents really. They're all like, hey, what's up with your girl? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, this person's wilding out. She's tried to run someone over. And I'm all like, what? Hold on. I go, where? So I went to the street where it happened at, and I asked people, because like I said, I'm going through this court battle. So I need everything that I could get, find whatever it is, just to help my case, And two people said they saw stuff, but they don't want to get involved. And one person had the surveillance camera, and I told them everything. And this is how God works, he intervenes and stuff. And the person that gave me the video, the footage of that, was an off-duty cop.
Oh, no way.
Yes. And he's always, but you can't say where you got it from and, stuff like that, because then he could be real out, because he can report it. But, when it had to come out that he gave it to me, it was like, well, he wasn't home. He didn't see it, so he wasn't a witness. And when I showed this to the cops, to Mission Division and Devonshire Division in California police stations, they're all like, we can't do nothing about it. There's no victim. How did you get this? I'm all like, well, like how I just said right now, I went to everyone by it and say, who gave it to me? I go, these people don't want to be involved. I go, so they just gave me this. And I showed him all their paperwork. And he's all like, okay. And he helped me. And, they can't do nothing about it because, like I said, there's no victim. And so it's another thing that's like, I'm just now, to them, it seems like I'm harassing her because I'm coming up with all this stuff and all the evidence and everything. But it's like, oh, well, I'm just bitter because I'm not getting what I want or this. Mm-hmm. But it's like, well, hold on. If it was reversed, you guys would have had me arrested already. So.
Does she not have a rap sheet?
She's not. She's clean.
Yeah. So see, you're on the wrong side of it already.
Yeah. And that's the funny part, because like I said, right now currently I'm on probation, and I should have been off it a while ago. But because every time she would call the cops, every time she knew I was about to get off probation, it would start my probation over. And, I'm truly blessed because my PO's helped me out a lot. And he's helped me get to where I need to get mentally and legally.
That's good.
Yeah. So, like I said, there's people out there that will help you if you ask for help. but sometimes as men, we're too stubborn or too machismo.
Mm-hmm.
It's our pride, but pride and ego will bring you down.
Exactly. Do you see, you haven't seen your daughter since July, and you have order that you're supposed to be able to see her with monitored visits, once, twice a week?
Yeah. But right now I'm not I'm not trying to do that right now. I'm trying to focus on me first. So when I come next year, the beginning of the year, I'll have a foundation, because I did relapse after my brother died in July. He passed away, and July 6th, I went on a 2-week binge, relapse, and told my probation officer, look, I need help. And, I told him I'm going to check myself into a program. He's all, dude, I'm proud of you. He's all, it takes a real man to do that instead of just going.
Have excuses.
Exactly. I go, this is the reason why I relapsed, because I had 1.5 years of sobriety. And dealing with the court stuff with my daughter for almost a year, it was 2 years at that time. But yeah, about 2 years. And then the death of my brother was just the icing on the cake. It was just like, I didn't care no more. I was like, screw this. It was for what, it goes back to, how you guys had on episode 16, the fathers and stuff. My dad was always there, but my dad was an addict though, so seeing my dad work all the time, and I was young, I would always find these little vials when I would look for change and stuff like that for the ice cream man. I would see these little brown vials. My mom was like, I go, what's this? Get the fuck out of the room. But as I got older, I started seeing patterns. And my dad staying up late with friends and mirrors and stuff like that. So, that's how I coped with things. When things would get too overwhelming, I just start using.
You were taught that. You saw that your whole life.
Exactly. So, it doesn't mean that a parent has to be absent in your life. They could be there too. But when you start seeing these things and stuff like that, that's what you become accustomed to. So.
It's true. So you relapsed and she knew about it?
A little bit more into it. Because probation came by and they did a home compliance check. It should have been my last one, but anyways, they did a home compliance check and I got arrested, and they told her and stuff like that. But instead of getting a new case and stuff like that, my probation officer just wrote it as a probation violation. So instead of starting all over again, I get off probation in 17 days. So nice. I'm done with everything. And that's why I said I'm just focusing on me right now. Because if I try to do this, try and balance out my sobriety and my meetings and stuff like that, because I know that that's what I need. Because if I don't attend meetings and I have too much free time, I start slipping and going down that dark rabbit hole.
You need a coping.
Yes.
So it's something that you could do to cope.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you go to meetings often, or?
Yeah, I got 4 meetings that are my home meetings, and I got 2 commitments at 2 of them. So, that's another thing. Like this time I'm actually doing recovery. I've been to a lot of treatments. I never did recovery, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because treatments, everyone could go to a treatment, and do whatever. But if you're not going to do the steps and actually get into it, actually surrendering to it, then what's the point of doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be back at square one.
Mm-hmm.
That 1.5 years that I had a sobriety, that's the longest I've ever had clean sobriety, wanting sobriety, but stop going to meetings, going to work too much. You got to find a balance.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find a balance in life. Work's not everything. Yeah, we need to pay the bills, but what makes a big difference though too now is that I actually have a partner, and my partner, she's incredible. She's real incredible. She's been my backbone and I've been her backbone. We complement
each other.
Compliment each other. There you go. When she's down, I lift her up, and when I'm down, she lifts me up. And I never had that. Like with my ex, she's a good woman. Like I said, I created that monster, but there was no drive behind her. Like, my spouse now that I'm with,
she's a go-getter.
She's a go-getter. She'll have like 3 or 4 different jobs in the same day, you know, because she's a nurse.
Mhm.
And, you know, I don't know, just like God bless me. And it's funny because me and her, we met actually 20 years ago when we were teenagers. We used to work at the same place, but we never ran into each other after that. Like we had the same friends, same crowd, but never came across each other. And this is what I say, like God intervenes. And I know the timing was right. And he brought her into my life because he brought her into my life in 2019 again. That's when we met through a mutual friend. And then I was going through my stuff and she's all like, you know what? I like you. You're cool, but you got a lot going on with your ex right now. Figure it out. And then if it's meant to be, we'll hang out again. And I remember this exactly clearly. It was November of 2020. I hit her up again and just say, hey, what's up? It was around the holidays because that's when we started talking in 2019. And since then, we've been with each other. So, and then we're planning to get married next year.
Nice.
Yeah. Someone finally let me down.
Nice.
And that's actually but that's why I said there's a difference between having a partner and then a companion. You know, I know we're going off topic off things, but it all relates. It all snowballs into one thing. You know, and she, like I said, she's a very understanding. She's helped me a lot too with the legal stuff, the paperwork, and you know, sometimes that's another thing too, where people get stuck, men in general. You know, because it becomes a financial burden because now you got to, as much as you can, do what you can on paper. And then when you can't do no more and you need more of the legal stuff, that's when you get the lawyer. But when you do the paperwork halfway, there's lawyers that will, I forgot the word, but they do where it's half the price because you did have to work. They're just there pretty much to be the mouthpiece at court, to know the language and the lingo and everything else. But if you do all the footwork, it's not going to be as expensive as you're not doing the footwork. So,
But you got to understand the paperwork to fill it out.
Exactly. Google, Siri.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, start filling out the paperwork, do what you need to do. And yeah, you know what I mean? Because not, you're just, you know, your kids already lost already enough time not you being there, and more time they're not going to want you around you the more you're absent from their life.
How old is your daughter?
She's 8.
She's 8.
So yeah.
Important time.
Yeah, it is. Especially, I think, for daughters too. You know what I mean?
Daughters need their fathers. I say that all the time.
And it's crazy because my spouse now, she has a daughter. And in fact, I went to go pick her up from school. Me and her went to go pick her up from school about 2 weeks ago. And I had headphones and we pretend we're like radio, like, and we get little, you know, we play funny stuff when we're slow or whatnot. So I thought she was mad and she was going to hit me. And she ran and gave me a hug. She's like, I miss you. I was like, dude, that was like the best feeling, you know, and that's not even my kid, and it's weird because this time around with her, when I introduce her, I always introduce my spouse. Oh, this is my wife, not my girlfriend or my fiance. And then when I introduce her daughter, well, this is my daughter. You know, and with my ex, I would always say, oh, this is my girlfriend. Or, oh, this is my stepchildren. So, you know, that's a big difference now too, is because this is my family now, you know, and I don't want to make the same mistakes I made before. So
makes sense.
You got to stay out of trouble.
Yeah. Trouble was my nickname back then. Trouble was my nickname.
So with not seeing your daughter, are you having any telephone conversations?
You know what? Like right now, like I said, I'm just focusing on me.
Nothing.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to lose focus on what I'm doing right now, you know, because if I lose focus on that, then I'm not going to be useful to her. And I need to get my foundation back, what I had before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's in the Bible too. It says you build a house on sand, you're going to sink, but you build a house on rocks, you're going to have a foundation.
That's true.
So, yeah.
When is court again?
You know what? We just had court, and this is another thing too, because my daughter's lawyer, because mom wasn't being compliant with the court order, they had to get my daughter a personal lawyer for herself.
They should have had one the whole time anyway.
Yeah, they didn't though, but it was when mom wasn't getting compliant and me filing all my motions. They're saying that both parents aren't, you know, being compatible, but I have everything, like I said, black and white right here on paper that says different, you know. Let me see. Let me read real quick. This came from the Monitor, and when she was talking to mom, it says, "At this point, I told you several times that we know you are harassing me, even though I told you on several occasions there'll be no visits anymore, and that he could take me to court if he wants, because I'll be going to court to file a petition against Carlos. Thank you and have a wonderful day and leave me alone, please." That came from the mom to the Monitor. So how are you going to tell someone that's court appointed to leave you alone and they're telling you that I have visitation and there's no repercussions behind that?
Yeah, that's not right.
You know,
when I was in foster care with my daughter, because my daughter was in foster care before I adopted her, we went through stuff like that. But it's weird because it seems like the court's failing you, because when somebody doesn't comply, it just looks bad. And after like 3 times of going through that, they've had enough and they stop it right there. They're like, well, do you need to lose custody to understand what you're doing? I don't understand why they're not doing that as well.
Because of my history, my past, and everything else. And like I said, I had a lawyer at first, but it was like every time I was going to court, everything was getting postponed. Nothing was getting done. So I was like, you know what? I don't need you. If I'm just need you to go in there and talk, like I could do this myself, you know, because I'm doing all the paperwork. I'm following all the motions and stuff. It's like, what do I need you for? But now it's like, I really do need a lawyer. I'm just waiting, getting my foundation. And so like back to where they gave my daughter a lawyer, because I've been trying to be compliant with mom. Like, look, give mom whatever she wants. This is what I'm asking for. And I'm asking for the basics, you know, I don't want monitor visits because it takes away from my mom, my dad, my grandmother. You know, my grandmother just turned 93 years old and my daughter loves my grandmother. She can go over there, go swimming all the time. So, and then, you know, my mom just had a heart attack like about a month ago. And she's, you know, my dad has high blood pressure and, you know, they moved out to Vegas because they didn't want to deal with this. You know, they were supposed to wait till my mom retired in about a year or so and then move out there. But my dad just sold his house because my ex, like I said, she took away that bond from my dad and my daughter. And my dad was just like, my dad's very, how can you say it? Manly. He wants to show his feelings and his emotions and stuff like that. He just says, fuck it, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this shit. And I know that's why my mom even told me that's why he left it, that they sold their house so fast and they just didn't want to deal with this no more. So, you know, that's the way he dealt with it.
It is heart-wrenching when you don't get to see a child that you love. It is. I've been in that situation. It's not fun. So I get where he would do that. But, you know, the funny thing about life is the only final thing that ever happens is death. Anything could change at any time. And if you run away from it, you don't get to see it come back around. Yeah.
And, you know, that's what I was trying to tell her. Like, we had my niece, because my niece and my sister came in contact. That's a different story too, because my sister kind of chose that side and my family was like, what are you doing? You know, like, do you see what she's doing? Like, my ex, she's very manipulative. She plays that victim role very well. You know what I mean? That poor me, poor this. And like I said, I've tried to help her in many ways, child support, because I could show you screenshots and stuff like that where she would literally put me on social media saying, oh, F that, I don't need child support. My ex is a sorry ass father anyways. I'm all like, okay, well, what ex are you talking about? Because now that's defamation of character. And then under California Civil Code 44 and 45, which is libel and slander, that's defamation of character because you're saying something that's not true, because I'm willing to be there for my daughter. You know, she doesn't want child support from me. And the reason why for that is because if she gets child support from me, her makes her rent goes up because she's in Section 8. And where I work at, literally, and it's not to brag or nothing like that, for one kid is about $1,000 easily for child support. Because back in 2000 when I just had my son, at the time I was working at Pepsi and I was making like $16 an hour, $18 an hour, which was equivalent to like $25-$30 now, right? So my child support went from $300 to $800 as soon as I started working in the studios. So I was like, whoa, $800, because I was making $21 when I started in the studios. So $300 at Pepsi when I was working at Pepsi. And then when I got into studios, it went to $800 because I was making $22, $23 an hour back then. So now that I make X amount of dollars now, my child support is going to be easily $1,000 off the bat, if not more. And she doesn't want that because one, she says she doesn't need it, but yet she's saying on social media that I'm a sorry father. I don't try to help out, but yet you forgot.
And she's on Section 8.
And she's on Section 8.
Sounds like she needs it.
Yeah. And the funny part is that, and this sucks too, because there's people that really do need Section 8. And I'm not knocking people that are on it, because there are a lot of people that do need help. Mm-hmm. But when you're on Section 8 for 12 years, I mean, there's something there. You're not even trying to better yourself. You're not trying to upgrade. Mm-hmm. You're just stagnant. You're just staying complacent where you're at. So and it's funny because I go, look, when I try saying, I send her money, I got the bank accounts where I send it to. And she's like, I don't have those accounts. Well, my bank says you do have this account. So where's the lie at? Everything that's another thing too. If you're going through a court battle, get all your documents, save everything, text messages, voicemails, whatever it is, screenshot everything. So you have proofs. It's not hearsay, because when you go in there with hearsay, they're going to be like, wow, where's the proof? Where's the proof? So, just make sure you have all your ducks lined up when you actually start following this. And then, trust me, it's going to get ugly. And for the ones that are going through separations right now and saying, oh, they're not going to be like that, you guys are cool with each other. Trust me. Like one of my good friends, one of my real good friends, he separated from his girlfriend for about 2-3 months ago. Now he's feeling the effects that I told him was going to happen. I go, I told you. I go, anytime, I think it goes for both parties though. Like anytime you separate and you get into a new relationship or whatnot, the other parent's always going to get jealous.
I think that's how it is in relationships in general anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It just sucks because it's the children that lose out, and when you could be, like I said, I'm willing to give her the world, like help her out, be there. If she wants to go out, she could do whatever, leave my daughter with me. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that was one of the incidents was when she tried to run someone over. The second incident was when, my niece called me and says, hey, my daughter, she's all Savannah's looking for her mom. She hasn't been home all day. So what I did was call the cops. I'm a cop caller. People, that's a thing that as we're growing up, we're taught not to call the cops and do this. F that. When it involves my daughter, I'm calling, because you know what? Guaranteed they're going to call the cops on me for every little thing. So, now the tables are turned. And that's what it is. Call me a snitch, call me whatever you want. But you know what? My daughter's been home by herself, and her mom hasn't been home. And so
she's 8?
And she's 8. But she has her brother there and her sister, but are they paying attention to her? I don't know. Are they, what I mean? Because the son's 18, the daughter is like 15, 16. So they're not really going to want to pay attention to an 8-year-old, And so what I did was call cops, and mom wasn't home. And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call saying I was harassing her, saying that I'm stalking her. I'm like, well, hold up. I got a GPS monitor on me, so I can't even be around you. So it's funny too about that, because district attorney to try filing a case against me. And when they asked my probation officer, has he been around her? He's like, I could say he has not been around her. I track him 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because he's on the GPS monitor. And
they know exactly where you go.
Exactly. And some people look at it, oh yeah, that sucks. Yeah, you can't go here. I can go wherever I want, but I just can't go by her house. And to me, that's a blessing, because now she can't just say, oh, I'm here, I'm there, I'm doing this. Okay, well, show us. Show me where he's at. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
It's a blessing, so you don't have to deal with her.
Right.
Exactly. And
I mean, I hate to be a dick, but it's true.
It is, and I hate to use the C word, and I'm not saying.
Oh, I love to use that word. So
what's that?
I have no problem saying cunt.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
sorry, Tina.
Not all women are cunts, but and when you do call women cunt, I mean, it's because they're getting there, especially when another woman calls a woman a cunt. You know she hates that woman.
I can't tell you the last time I used that word.
I watch way too much British TV, and they use cunt like it's like asshole, so it's not a big deal to me. Only in America. Yeah, and then not to bring the tone down any more than it is, but I'm going to give you a few stats here just for health related issues in a fatherless home, which is, again, if you've listened to our other show, but substance abuse 75% higher than if you don't have a father in the home. 71% of teenagers who are pregnant come from fatherless homes. 63% of youth suicides happen in a fatherless home. 85% of children with behavioral disorders from fatherless homes. Let's see. Teen girls without a father 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teenager.
Dang.
Good Lord. Infant mortality is 2 times higher in a fatherless home. So if you leave your child with your ex, they're more likely to die as a infant. Crazy. Higher rate of drug and alcohol abuse. Obviously, that was pretty bad. And here's a crazy one. Children are 4 times more likely to be in poverty.
That makes sense.
Because there's not a second income.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the statistics are pretty devastating when you start looking, And again, I'll shit on a dad who isn't there as well. Obviously you want to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's a much bigger thing. If you're a dad, if you're a deadbeat dad, fuck you anyway. And you should be raked over the coals. But for someone who wants to be in their child's life, the court system, unfortunately, and we can argue all day, they tip to the woman. They tip the mom. And it's a fact.
What's crazy though too is that, when it comes to, I'm not, like I said, I don't knock all women. Like I said, I created the monster. We got to look at ourselves too. But there's a fine line though between your past and what you're trying to do now. So like I said, I'm not knocking mom. She's a great mom overall. She takes care of my daughter. My daughter has a home she lives in, food in her stomach. It just, what she's doing, she doesn't see the psychological part, of what she's doing to my daughter. I've been pushing for therapy for me, my daughter, even family therapy for me, my ex, and my daughter.
Sure.
She doesn't want none of it. So that there's it's a woman's scorn. And I know Tina knows something about that probably.
I don't. I didn't have kids and I'm going through a really civil divorce. Yeah, knock on wood. But it's also, and I'm going to toot my own horn, it's because I won't put up with that shit. Like, in all honesty, I will never beg somebody to love me. Somebody doesn't want to love me, there's the door. Go through it. See if you could find something better. And because I love you, I encourage that. So I don't go through the same things because I don't act that way. I believe in forgiveness. I believe in letting a man see their children. I believe in keeping a child safe though.
Yep.
And it's not about the parents. It's about the child and keeping the child as healthy and as happy as you can and letting them grow up stable. Women do not understand that stability comes from having strength in a father, especially for a daughter. And when they don't have that, they don't have the strength, they don't have the backbone that they need. They don't make the same choices that somebody that has their dad does. And I believe that that's why I've had things the way I've had them, is because I did have a dad that said, this is your baseline of how you should be treated, how you should be respected, how you should be loved. This is the baseline. It should never go below this. Most men that are raising kids try to set that example. When they're not there to set that example, who does it? The mom that's allowing other men to come in and do crappy things. I mean, you got to think about that.
And that's one thing, like I've always, even though I've been a mess up, I've always been there for my kids, financially, emotionally, whatnot. one thing my dad taught me was like when I was growing up and stuff like that was he's all like, because my dad never had a dad. So he didn't know how to be a dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, absentee fathers. But my dad provided for his family. My mom and dad are still together. Been going on 40. Well, then they're going to be celebrating 45 years.
Mm-hmm.
44 years. Sorry, 44 years. But you know, without a dad, he got into substance abuse, like one of the statistics. But he's always provided. And one thing he told me was, no matter what happens in your life, he's all like, always be there for your kid. He's like, you don't want another man raising your kid. And so that stuck with me, you know. So, you know, even though I'm not the perfect parent, but I'm a parent that tries. I'm trying to be there. And that's why I said, like, right now, my daughter's not my focus right now. And sometimes it's something I learned in one of the services where I go to church. Sometimes we put our kid on pedestals. I mean, we focus on them. But you know what? If you let God in your life and let him provide for you and do everything, he's going to work everything out. You know, so I'm at that point right now where it's like, my daughter's going to be there. Let me build a foundation. Let me do what I need to do. So when I go back to court, I could show them look, I'm back on the right track. This is how long I've had sobriety. You know, here's my sponsor, you know, like showing them everything that I need to do to get my daughter instead of going in there half-ass. Like, and that's so they could just pick me apart. You know, I need my foundation, and I know that's what I need before trying to go get my daughter again, trying to see her. Because then once I start trying to juggling too many things at one time, I lose focus on what's really at what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
when you have visits, how do those happen?
On paper right now, it's every Sunday from 9 to 12.
So do you meet at a certain place? Or?
Yeah, I'll get with the monitor and whatnot. We usually go to the park or we'll go. But see, that's what sucks too, because there's only so much I'm limited. You know, I'm not trying to be a 3-hour dad, you know, for a week.
No one should.
And, you know, and it sucks because, like I said, my parents are getting older. My parents are ill. Grandmother's ill. You know, they miss her. They want to see her. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I know my daughter wants to see them, but she gets when I show her videos, she'll be like, oh yeah, like she'll kind of withdraw from it. Like, cause she doesn't want to feel.
Cause it hurts her too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I show her the old videos, remember this video? She'll be like, no. And then I show her and she'll be like, oh yeah. But then she'll try to change the subject quick. But I know it's because she doesn't want to upset mom, you know, and that's why I'm glad that, like I said, the person I'm with right now, she understands that. She's not like, well, just give up, or, you know, she's actually helped me fight. And she's all like, just let's focus on what you need to do first. You need to be selfish right now and take care of you. She's all, because how are you going to take care of your daughter when you're not even taking care of yourself?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you said your parents are out of state?
Yeah, they live in Vegas now.
See, that's a bigger problem long run as well.
Yeah.
Because even with court orders, taking children over state lines that's a rough one, because I moved to Vegas with my kid and we had so many things that had to be in writing. And when I went through my divorce papers, there was some wording that I didn't like. It kind of made almost like that I was stealing my own kid. So I had to have that redone in our divorce papers, because I was like, no, I want it worded like this. So hopefully that's something that you can also fight for when you go.
When, in fact, when my parents were here for the holidays, I don't even know if I have it on me right now, but we go through a thing called Talking Parent. It's an app through the courts where the mother and I communicate. That's the only way we have communication.
Sure.
So
wow.
Yeah, that's the best thing, because then I don't have to deal with her, you know, and it's not hearsay. Mm-hmm. And my daughter's lawyer sees everything that's on there.
Yeah.
So I could show you stuff where mom just goes off the wall and it's like, are you serious? But, you know, I take the blame on that though too, because I like to poke the bear, because I'll say certain things and it triggers her where she just goes off. But it's the truth though, you know.
Yeah, that's not poking the bear, though. That's just showing somebody some shit they don't want to see.
Exactly.
But at the same time, is it helping you see your daughter? It's
No,
not. If it's not helping you
exactly.
see your daughter, knock your shit off.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's like, but
You're never going to be the good guy.
We're
You're
never
never
gonna
going to
be
be
the
the
good guy.
right guy.
Mhm.
You're never going to be the person that she's going to see the way that she should, as she should have respect for you as the man that helped her have this child, but she doesn't. You're never going to get that from her, so you shouldn't even engage in those things, because it just keeps the rift
It does.
as far
And
as
that's
it could be.
exactly what you just said right now is exactly what my spouse said.
Well,
She-
that's because she's me 10 years ago. She, we do think a lot alike. So it makes sense that she would say that to you.
Yeah. And that's when I got to realize, like, okay, that's why I say I know my part I play in it too. I'm not perfect. I'm not sitting here. I'm saying I'm the perfect. I do poke the bear. And like you just said, that's what causes her to get the way she does. But to answer that question though, my parents were here for the holidays last year. And when I went on the app and I asked my daughter's lawyer, not my daughter's lawyer, but yeah, my daughter's lawyer, look, my parents are down here. They wanted to see her. And, my ex replies back on there, well, if your dad cares so much about Savannah, how come he hasn't reached out to her in 2 years? My dad didn't want to come to court, my first court hearing with him. But the second one, I go, look, Pops, I need you there. My mom actually had to tell him, like, look, your son's doing good. He needs your help. And he finally came. And so when we went to court, I'm all like, what was the reason why you stopped talking or getting in contact with Miss, so-and-so? He's all, well, because Miss so-and-so said that she didn't want me to stop all contact with her. She said, stop calling, stop. So he did. He didn't want to get me in trouble. And that was the reason why he stopped communication with her, because Miss so-and-so said to stop harassing her. And he does that. My daughter's not going to see her grandpa anymore or anything like that. So.
Wow. That's a shame, because she's keeping her daughter from so many people that love her. All the love that you guys have to give, she's not getting. And I get, because of your addiction, I get her wanting to keep your daughter safe, but it goes beyond keeping her safe at this point. It's like, it's just unhealthy.
Yeah.
I know for what I've gone through, you have to be impeccable. No poking the bear, no using, go to all your meetings, do whatever it is you have to do, and don't leave anything out there that could possibly be misconstrued as you still screwing up.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take. And it's a long, hard process.
Yeah.
But it does work.
It does. It does. And that's why I keep on repeating over and over. I sound like a broken record, but that's why I'm not trying to see my daughter right now. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I can't right now, because I need to take care of me first. Without me being right first, then what am I doing this for? What am I trying to get out of it? Am I just trying to piss her off, or am I really trying to be there for my daughter? Am I just trying to antagonize her and like you said, poke the bear, or am I just...
See, and I think a little bit different. There is nothing that is going on in your life that is more important than you seeing your kid. So I don't agree with that, just because of what I've been through. Mm-hmm. But I get what you're saying. If you're not right, you're not right. But that does lead into a question like, well, when are you going to be right? And when are you going to start making the right choices? So they will look at that too, that you're not trying and that you're not going. So get right as quick as you can.
Oh no, that's what we talked about. Me and my daughter's lawyer. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we had court about a week and a half ago. But I signed all the paperwork saying that, but she left it in the language, and I read it, and I had my spouse read it just to double check the language, because she's a smart cookie. And it left it open where after I do this A, B, and C, that door is open to see my daughter again.
Good.
So like my daughter's lawyer, she's helped me a lot without
helping you.
Yes. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Well, because it's in your daughter's best interest that you get it together, and that your ex gets it together. And that's what she is working for. That's what having a lawyer is for. It's her own advocate. to say, this is what we need for you guys to be together. So that's good that she's actually doing her job.
Yeah. She, like I said,
But they'll turn on you quicker than
she will.
They will.
And it's funny because, like I said, God intervenes in a lot. My daughter's lawyer it's crazy because my mom's all like, I know that lady. Well, okay, well, how do you know her? She's all, well, that used to be Uncle Gary's divorce lawyer. Like, so, like, she's a tough cookie. Like, she don't put up with BS, and she doesn't.
Good.
Like, she yells at mom to just as bad as, you know what I mean? Because I've been open with my addiction with my daughter's lawyer, and she sees that, you know what? It's crazy. When she got involved, the first thing she asked me, she said, Mr. So-and-so, why am I involved? I'm all, well, you want the truth or you want me to sugarcoat it? She's all, I want the truth. I'm all, well, it's my fault. She's all, what do you mean it's your fault? I'm all like, yeah, like how I said, when I first got with her, it was fine. But when it becomes a one income family and, I just checked out, I went back to what I know how to do, self-medicating. That goes back also to, the homeless fathers and stuff like that. We all, like addicts, I would say for personal experience only, as an addict, when you feel that void of emptiness, you feel it with toxic stuff, alcohol, drugs, porn, whatever, just to feel that satisfaction, that emptiness,
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, I did what I know how to do. And I just medicated myself, started drinking, started partying, not coming home. I go, so that's why you're involved. I go, the other reason why you're involved is probably because I took her to court for, was it? I might just went blank. Sorry. And we're live too.
You took her to court for?
Oh, because she was power of attorney at the time. And I took her to court because to file that.
Is that against you?
No, against her. She was my power of attorney. And I took her to court because when I came back from vacation, I was just trying to fix my credit back. And I went to the banks and said, what do I need to do? And they showed me everything. They showed that she relinquished my car because I was in debt. So I was like, whoa, hold on. So now I go, you know what? I need a printout of from this date to this date. When I seen it, my bank statements were to James Restaurant or to all these restaurants and, $400 at Walmart. Like, whoa, what the hell? Like, where's this money going? This was money that she used for her leisure. So when I filed my against her for that, that's when shit really got out of control. But that's what I told my daughter's lawyer. I go, these are the only two reasons why you're involved. She was, wow. Oh, what? She's like, I didn't really expect you to say that. I didn't think you were going to be honest and say something like that. I could take accountability. Now I'm older, I take accountability for my actions. Before I used to be like, oh, it's her fault. Or, well, she did this to me. Or I did that. Or she did this. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear what you done. Take accountability. For future reference to anyone listening, man, take accountability. Don't just point fingers at mom and take accountability of your once your side of, like they say in sobriety, once your side of the street's clean, nothing else they can say about you.
And the truth is the truth. If you just tell the truth and only the truth, then you could see what the problem is and work through it.
Yeah.
If you don't look at what you're doing or what's going on, you'll never get through it.
Yeah. And it
doesn't get fixed.
Working the steps now, I see a lot though too, working with my sponsor and stuff like that. I see I clean up. I can only clean up my side of the street.
Mm-hmm.
I can only do my part. I can't control what you think. I can control what he thinks. I can't control what other people feel about me, say about me. All I can do is control my actions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
have you been learning coping mechanisms so you don't go back to using drugs?
Oh yeah, what I mean. Like I'm very into my sobriety right now. So I'm going to my meetings, getting commitments. I do have a therapist. That he's been a big help. He's the reason why I didn't really relapse when I should have relapsed. Mm-hmm. That guy's awesome. He's just the Doctor Strange. I don't know if you guys seen the Doctor Strange multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how there's different variants because of things that happened in the past. So he uses that as an analogy for me. I go, I told him, I go, hey, wasn't this like the doc? He's like, exactly. He's all because whatever I do off of reactions of what my ex does, like, because I used them for my anger, because I was getting mad a lot. Like, where it was like, I just don't give a fuck. I want to break everything. I'm going to snap, like, just real bad. So he helped me control that. He's all, learn how to control that. He's all, once you know how to control that, then he's all, because like whatever you do, there's going to be a reaction. So it's like that Doctor Strange multiverse. So there's going to be different variants.
Yeah.
You know, from my reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So
when I was first with my ex, he had an ex-wife that he had been divorced for years that was still coming back around, still using his credit, still trying to do all these crazy things. And she would call like 100, 200 times in a night. Like, the phone would just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. It wouldn't stop. And it used to drive me crazy. And I would tell him, just pick up the phone and tell her off. And he said, no. He said, no, if I don't engage, she'll burn herself out. Mm-hmm. And that is truly, that was a big lesson, because I'm a fighter. I fight back. And when you cannot fight with somebody because they won't fight with you, you tend to let things go. So try to not poke the bear. Try to do exactly what you're doing by the letter of the law, and don't waver from it, and start treating yourself better so that you do things more healthily. You don't want to be caught up in doing the same stuff that you were doing, because look at how it does affect your daughter.
It does.
I mean, she's 8 years old without her dad right now.
Yep.
And it sounds like her mom's a little tilted too. So what is her stability? Where is her foundation right now?
Mom's or my daughter's? Your
daughter's.
Man, I wish I knew.
And see, that's the point. That's the end game. The end game is really, you have to be impeccable. You have to work hard to be her dad, because it is a blessing. And it is something that is going to teach you more lessons than you'll probably teach her. So I'm glad to hear that you're in counseling. I think counseling is incredible when you work whatever it is that you and your therapist come up with. Definitely keep going to that. And remember that nothing stays the same forever. And I've noticed in my life, I've had a lot of friends grew up without their dads, where the moms just told them to get the hell out, and they stayed out. They had to. And in my experience with every last child that had to go through that, they don't have anything to do with their mom now. Mm. It's all about their dad, because they could only be lied to for so long. They could only feel hatred for so long. I mean, it's their parent.
I feel like my spouse is right here talking to me, because those are the exact same words.
She says the same thing.
Yeah, like that's why I said she's an awesome person.
Smart people, no smart people.
Yeah, I think that's why we all get along here.
Yeah, but definitely just do what is going to bring peace and harmony to your relationship with your daughter. And if you just keep that in mind, you'll be able to get through all this other stuff. When I was going through it with my daughter, I didn't think it was ever going to end. I didn't think that the courts really cared about what she needed or wanted. But if you fight long enough and hard enough, you do find that people are there to help, and you just got to go through the motion.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I'm at right now, just going through the motions. And that's why, like I said, it's a blessing. I mean, everything happens on God's time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I really believe that. Like, my spouse coming back into my life at the right time, not when I thought I needed her or when whatnot. God put her back in my life at the right moment. Same thing with my daughter. Maybe the timing's not right, but in time, God's going to provide everything. He gives you the hearts of your desire.
So be as healthy as you can.
Yes, I can.
And then love on her as much as you can, because there's so much damage that's already been put on her plate that she's going to need you to be the dad.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's what I think.
Yeah. I don't think I need to say much more.
No, we're coming up on our time though. But I'm so grateful that you came out and did this with us. And this was your second time trying to get your message across. So thank you for being patient with our technical difficulties we had the other night. And thank you for being there and continue to listen to your friend because she's very smart and I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. Like I said, she's awesome, and you're invited to the wedding. Come next year.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be doing some hair as well.
Yeah, and I'll just say keep pushing.
Yeah,
You know,
Like Joe
your-
Dirt, keep it pushing.
keep pushing.
your child definitely needs you. It's a very important thing. I think that they know that they have stability on both sides of the aisle, and hopefully one day you and your ex can find a level where you understand that it's about her and not about anything else.
And that's another reason why too. Like I'd rather not pursue nothing right now. Give her that time to like detach from me and those feelings that she has towards me. So wait, come next year, at least it gave it some kind of healing time. Me not being around, maybe next year, God willing, that he'll work in her heart and soften her heart, and we could just be civil, because that's all I want, is just to be civil.
Sure. I would say send her cards, send her letters, send her something. Just
I'll just send
say
it.
don't do anything.
I would. I mean, if it was my kid,
No, I'd rather
no,
just
not mom.
no. I'm like the
your
kid.
daughter,
child.
your
Yeah.
daughter.
There's a
Not
protective
mom.
order still. So as of right now, if anything were to happen like that, it would go through my daughter's lawyer.
Yeah,
So,
I'm all right with that.
yeah. So
Send it to that. I think that's even better. Send
Yeah.
it to the lawyer so it makes sure that people get it.
exactly. Cool.
All right, Tina.
All right. Well,
Well,
thank you all for listening. You could reach or you could listen to us on Spotify, Facebook, iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, anywhere where you can listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
And please share and follow and like and subscribe so that we could keep doing this for you.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, sometimes Twitter. We'll see.
You'd always get a hold of us.
Yeah, I can't do that shit. I don't know. Besides that, it's an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. We're here every Wednesday. We'll see you in a week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
And hopefully it sounds good.
All right.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.